Hello, everyone. This is episode 5 of the Parks Academy, where we discuss and celebrate all things theme parks related. We focus mainly on Disney parks and resorts in both Anaheim and Orlando. My name is Paige.
My name is Steven.
And today we are continuing our mini-series about our ideal day in each park.
Today we are going to wrap things up in Walt Disney World, and we are going to head on over to the Magic Kingdom. This is a awesome park. It is the very first park that opened up in Walt Disney World, and one of the little fun fact about this series we've been doing, we've actually started in reverse order from when the parks opened. So Animal Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, Epcot, and now Magic Kingdom. So that was unintentional, actually. But what's fun about that is that's actually the order we first went to the parks together. So we did a little
facts.
Yeah, a little fun fact there. As always, we are going to discuss attractions. We're going to do entertainment, talk about dining and things to do. So just random, things that you may want to check out and do when you are at the park. I think that we should just jump feet first right into it with attractions. And Paige, if you want to kick us off, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, sounds good. So my favorite part of Magic Kingdom is walking down Main Street, USA, first thing in the morning, soaking in all of the sights and things to see, and the castle is so spectacular the first time you see it. I don't think I'll ever not have the feeling of that magic, the Disney magic, when you first see the castle in the morning. Even if I've been to Disney 15, 20 times, I will always feel that same sense of feeling like a little kid when I see the castle first thing in the morning.
Yeah, it's spectacular. It really is spectacular.
So when I walk down Main Street, USA, I always love to start by going to the right and heading straight into Tomorrowland. And this is my favorite area of Magic Kingdom. My least favorite park is actually Magic Kingdom. So I'm so sorry for all of you who Magic Kingdom is your favorite park. I understand. I totally get why it's a favorite. It's a great family-friendly park. There's so much to do for people of all ages. But this is actually my least favorite park. So that says a lot that I still love it so much, but it's my least favorite of the 4 in Walt Disney World.
Yeah, I can understand why, as an adult going as a married couple with no kids, why it's your least favorite park. I think the argument, though, about it is that Magic Kingdom is thoroughly Disney in every way.
It is.
So there's that aspect of it. And what's funny is that, you say you want to go straight to Tomorrowland, whereas I've always veered left and gone straight into Adventureland.
Which is exactly backwards from how we both approach the World Showcase.
Right. So, marriage is, if nothing, compromise.
Always.
Yeah.
So for Tomorrowland, this is my favorite area, I think, because of the theming of Tomorrowland compared to some of the other lands in Magic Kingdom. But part of the reason I love going to Tomorrowland first is because I want to go get in line for Space Mountain before that line gets too long.
You got to do the big ride first?
I have to. In Magic Kingdom, I think just because that park tends to be so crowded, especially when you get to the middle of the day when people have all gotten into the park, whatever time they enter through the gates. By the time we get to the middle of the day, some of those lines can be really long. So Space Mountain for me, I try to hit first thing in the morning. And it's another ride that if we get to the late in the evening, the fireworks show's happening or it's already happened, we try to see if we can sneak onto that ride one more time. But I love starting with Space Mountain. And we did talk extensively in our first episode about Space Mountain and how it differs from the Space Mountain in Disneyland. So if you haven't checked that episode out, go ahead and listen to our 2 cents about comparing the 2 rides. But the Space Mountain in Magic Kingdom is my favorite of the 2 versions of Space Mountain. So this ride is a must-do for me, and I love to hit it first thing in the morning.
Yeah, going into Tomorrowland first it really is fun. I mean, first of all, you've got the French fry rocks, and if you don't know what those are, Google them. They're super cool. But it is really fun just to kind of kick off your day with a big, exciting ride and, basically start it off with a bang. One thing that I really appreciate about the Magic Kingdom Tomorrowland is that you can get on the People Mover, and that is like pretty high up there on my list of attractions that I gotta do. It's so easy and fast to get on, and it really is a perfect contrast to that scary, fast, life-threatening Space Mountain ride you're going to be on. And then just to get on the People Mover afterward is I mean, it's like complete opposites, but they are equally good in their own way.
That was the one I was going to mention next because I love that ride so much too. And like you said, it's so different from Space Mountain, but they're both must-dos for me.
Yeah.
And the next one, and we've also mentioned this one, I believe, is Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin, which in Disneyland is known as Buzz Lightyear
Astro Blasters.
Astro Blasters, that's
Yes.
right. Same ride, different name. You're scoring all the points. You're trying to defeat Zurg. Competition ride. This is the epitome of a Paige ride, and it's in Tomorrowland. So we're spending a big chunk of our morning in Tomorrowland getting to do all of these things that are themed to space and Buzz Lightyear. Another one that I do miss dearly, but this would have been part of my ideal day in the past. Stitch's Great Escape.
That ride sucked.
You hated that ride, as many people also hated that ride, but I loved that ride.
That ride made me feel like I was a young kid about to have a complete meltdown.
I can see that.
It was the most. I mean, I've been on a lot of rides. I've been on rides that have made me feel like I was going to black out. I have been on scary rides. I've been, walked through horror houses. This was the scariest ride I've ever been on. I think because it was just, first of all, I didn't like mechanical arms pushing down on my shoulders.
Right.
And I just felt like I had relinquished any kind of control. And it was horrifying to me.
So if you thought that was horrifying, how do you think you would have felt about the original, the alien encounter?
Better.
Better?
Yeah, I do. Because, first of all, I don't love Lilo and Stitch. And so the whole gimmick of Stitch burping on you and having it smell terrible and his voice, echoing through the ride.
Right, as he's jumping around on people's shoulders.
And then these kids that were on the ride that were kind of ruining it, and I think they weren't buckled in right, so we had an even longer experience because they were goofing around.
Well, there was a kid in the front row on their phone, and so they paused, and so there was this big awkward, almost 1 minute of just sitting in the dark in silence, and then the cast member had to come out and tell the kid to get off their phone. So I think that was part of the problem.
Yeah, it's
with
just
your first experience.
If you have anxiety and you do not like being in a room with a lot of people, this ride is not for you. But thank Walt Disney they shut it down because it was not great.
I miss this ride. If there's any other Stitch's Great Escape lovers out there, I'd love to hear that you miss this ride too, but sadly, that is no longer part of my ideal day. I'll have to stick to the other Tomorrowland rides. So those are my top rides in the Tomorrowland areas. Gotta hit Space Mountain, the People Mover, and then Buzz Lightyear.
Those are good ones. Yeah, that's pretty much covers it for sure. I'm gonna throw in a few that I have to do. I've said this before, but Disneyland is my home park. It's the one that I consider, like my park, and actually, everything on here, except for the People Mover, was on my list. But every ride on here that for me is like, if I go to the Magic Kingdom, or Disneyland for that matter, but in this case, when I go to the Magic Kingdom, I have to, without a shadow of a doubt, go on these rides, or else I basically did not go to Magic Kingdom. And I'm just going to rattle them off because
go for it.
They are Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, must go on. Splash Mountain, absolutely must go on. And I think that when they change it to the Princess and the Frog rendition, it's still going to be a must go on because mainly the ride mechanics and not so much the story. Haunted Mansion, have to go on it. And Pirates of the Caribbean, I have to go on it. And then finally, even though it annoys me, Jungle Cruise, I have to go on it.
That is one that definitely does not annoy me.
Yeah.
I am a huge fan of puns. I love a good cheesy joke. If you have not seen the Jungle Cruise movie, it actually was really good. And I thought they did a nice job at incorporating what you get out of the ride.
Yeah.
from Jungle Cruise and the experience and some of the cheesy jokes that they throw out on the actual attraction. I thought it was an enjoyable film too, so that could be something that you could kind of watch if you haven't been on the ride before or if you haven't seen the movie preparing for your Disney trip. I love the Jungle Cruise. I like that ride a lot.
I do. I love it. I mean, like I said, it's on my list of must rides. And even though the banter from the host or the captain can be annoying, it's one of those rides where whenever I get off of it, I'm really, really glad I rode it, and I'm always smiling afterward. So
You're
it's
also
just-
not a fan of interacting with the cast members.
Yeah, but if you sit in the back, they're not really gonna call on you,
Right.
and you can always just not make eye contact.
You pretty
which
much
is,
can just mind your business.
right, and I don't make eye contact like 90% of the time anyway.
There you go.
So that's that. But yeah, I mean, every ride that I mentioned, it's pretty much a staple. It's been there for a long time, except for Splash Mountain was the brainchild of Michael Eisner. I almost forgot his name. How could I? So that's kind of a newer one, from the 90s. But yeah, I mean, all of these rides to me are just iconic, and they scream Magic Kingdom to me. I could kind of take or leave some of the Fantasyland stuff. I don't really need to go see or ride, I don't know, like just some of the other things that are there, newer stuff. I'm
Right.
sure the Tron ride is going to be out of this world, and I can't wait to ride it.
I'm really excited about that one since
Right.
the actual ride vehicle, it's sort of like motorcycle style,
Yeah.
more like the Flight of Passage type
Mm-hmm.
ride, and so I think that one's going to be really, really enjoyable.
It will be, but my point being that I am very drawn to the idea of just iconic, Disneyland and Magic Kingdom rides that have been there since essentially the beginning.
And you like those original mountains, the
I
Space
love-
Mountain,
yeah.
Splash Mountain, Big Thunder Mountain.
I do love the mountains. I found that to be true about myself.
There you go.
Honorable mention, if I get the chance, because it's actually a really, really good ride, if I get the chance and the line is not exorbitant, I will go on Seven Dwarfs Mine Trail.
We mentioned this one briefly. I think I could do without it. I really do. I think we waited in line so long for this ride. And how long was the ride? Wasn't it very, very short?
Yeah, it was short, but if the ride is if I'm looking at anything 45 minutes and under, I would wait in line for it. Now it has to be like a true 45 minutes, but I would wait in line for this ride. This one for me, it hits all the right buttons of a fun ride, a good story, fun animatronics, and a great ride experience. So, it hits me just right, and I really like it.
Well, and I think because it is one of the newer ones, I mean, it's been out in the last 5-ish years. I can't remember exactly when it opened. I think it was new when we went in 2017. Is that right? Why don't you check on that? But the ride time, it's about 3 minutes long. So when you're waiting in line for 3+ hours for a 3-minute ride, it just seems a little not worth it to me.
I can understand that. Seven Dwarfs Mine Trail opened up 2014, so
Okay.
pushing on a decade ago.
Wow. Yeah, that's
Yeah. For us, a decade ago is still like 96.
yeah.
But yeah, it's just one of those rides where it is new, but it doesn't feel out of place. It doesn't feel like
Mhm.
it's this new forced ride in there.
Right.
So anyways, I really like it. If I get a chance to ride it and it's not insanely long, I'm going to get on it every time.
It feels like Disney found a good balance between a classic Walt Disney film and a newer ride technology.
Totally.
I think that's what hits the nail on the head there.
The only issue that I have with it, and I've said this before, is I really hate projected faces on animatronics.
I knew you were going to say that. I was picturing
Yeah.
Dopey as you were talking and
It's-
how we saw his face, like making all of his goofy faces on this 3-dimensional figure.
It's really bad. There's a YouTube channels out there, and one of them specifically highlights like Disney fails of like animatronics and rides going wrong. And one of them is Grumpy's face, and the projector malfunctioned, and it was like the Windows blue screen
Oh no.
So he had like all this white text on his face and the blue screen and stuff. I mean, it's, things happen, but I think it's lazy, and I don't want to like cast aspersions on Imagineers. Of course, they are incredible, and we love them, but I would almost rather see a stagnant face that's detailed and just like moving about than to see a projected face.
Yeah, I get it.
2
I get
cents,
it.
that's all.
Yep. Yeah, the only other attractions that I would say for me are must-dos, and I'm pretty sure you mentioned both of these. Did you say Haunted Mansion and Pirates?
I did, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, those are the only other two, and we've mentioned those before as well in our comparison video between Disneyland and Disney World Magic Kingdom. Those two rides for me are those classic rides that have been around since the 90s or before. I mean, they've been there my whole life. And some of them are even older than me. But those two to me are classic Disney World Magic Kingdom rides that have been enjoyable for me since I was a little kid. So there's a lot of nostalgia to those rides.
Totally. Yeah. Let's jump into entertainment, because there's a lot to be said about entertainment
Yeah.
in Magic Kingdom. The rides are great, but to me the entertainment is just outstanding. And I mean, obviously, you can think of the big ones like the fireworks shows and the
Right.
parades, but there's a lot of other small aspects of entertainment that I love so much. So I think, did you kick off the last one?
I
So I'll
did. So
jump in on this one.
you kick it off for us.
All right. Uh, if I am in Magic Kingdom and I have one aspect of entertainment to enjoy, it's got to be the Enchanted Tiki Room for
I
me.
knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, I'm predictable. You go ahead and get your Dole Whip, and then you go into the Enchanted Tiki Room. That for me is basically as good as it gets anywhere. It is, it's such a good experience, and it's so fun. That actually is a product of my mother wanting to do that a lot when we were kids. I kind of drug my heels about it when I was like, in elementary school, but she always wanted to go on the Enchanted Tiki Room. She grew up kind of not that long after Disneyland had opened, and that and Dole Whips was just kind of a staple for my family, and it was just what we did. Like we would go to Pirates of the Caribbean, we would ride that, and then we would just basically go straight over to Adventureland and hop into the Enchanted Tiki Room. So it's such a fun show. The music is amazing. The thunderstorm's great. I think my favorite aspect of that is the singing tiki faces on the walls.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to have one of those in my home down here in the basement where we record.
Mm-hmm.
So
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, it's just so good. Such
I
a good show.
actually don't think I ever did the Enchanted Tiki Room until I met you. I had definitely had a Dole Whip before, but that now has become something that we do every time we go, and that's something that Steven, like he said, takes from his childhood and what his family used to do. So now every time we go to Magic Kingdom, we go to Aloha Isle and we grab a Dole Whip, and then we go to the Enchanted Tiki Room, and it's just a fun little thing to do in the middle of the day. You can usually get in and out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Because it's a popular attraction, but this is a show that is relaxing. You're sitting down in a room where you're all facing the center, so you can see all of the aspects of the show, and it's just enjoyable. It's just fun.
Sidebar on dining. A classic Dole Whip or a Dole Whip float, if you had to choose.
Ooh. I think a classic Dole Whip. I think I'm gonna have to go with the classic Dole Whip.
Okay, I like the float, so.
I mean, they're both fantastic, but I do like the classic Dole Whip.
Cool. Talk to me. What do you like entertainment-wise?
Okay, so there's a couple things for me entertainment-wise. I love Mickey's PhilharMagic. This, to me, the first time that I sat in on this show, I was so surprised at how much I liked it, because it was like a sing-along.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to sing along.
I don't.
Some of us prefer to sing along when we know all the songs. And if you've never been in this show before, Donald Duck is basically engaging in all of these different Disney films, some of the classics. It goes through some of the 90s movies, and then most recently they added in a Coco section. And so that just reopened, I believe, in 2021. They had shut it down for only a month or so. And so that is still fairly new. We actually have not gotten a chance to see it with the new Coco section. So I think that's so great that they've been able to update that attraction or that show to be able to incorporate some of the newer films, but also those original films. And I love all of the Disney music from the older movies all the way up to the current day ones. Coco is actually one of my favorite Disney Pixar movies. It's so enjoyable. The music is fantastic. So that is definitely one of them. And then the other one that I absolutely cannot skip anymore, and I don't remember the first time I did this one, but that's Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor.
Yes.
That ride, well, show, sorry, that attraction or that show was so surprising. Steven and I did this one when we went together in 2016 or 2017.
Yeah, and we went on it mostly as a goof.
Right. We were just like, oh, let's just go check this out. We'll go sit down in an air-conditioned room. And we laughed so hard because if you've never done this show before, there's live comedians or cast members who are engaging with the audience. So every single time you go into this show, it's going to be a different experience because they are basing it on the people in that particular audience.
Yeah, imagine Turtle Talk with Crush, where it's this real black magic of an animated figure interacting with you. But instead of being nice and asking a kid what their favorite color is, it's basically roasting some old dad who's sitting there.
Right.
I mean, they have this whole like that guy bit. It's so funny. It really
is so entertaining.
Funny.
And one of the bummers about that is if you try to go back and replicate your experience, it might not be as funny every single time just because it's all dependent on who they pick on in the audience and how good of a sport they are. So just go in with an open mind if it's a show that's not as funny as the last time you saw it. But if you go every time, if you make this a part of your experience, it can be such an enjoyable, hilarious moment for you to just sit down and laugh so hard. So those two, I think, are the big entertainment things for me. One thing that I can definitely skip every time that Steven loves to do is the Country Bear Jamboree.
I love that ride show. That's great. Really quick, just before we move on to our good bears, the thing with Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor is go on it when you are dead tired.
Yes.
Like wait until the end of the day when your feet hurt, when you just don't think you have any more in your chamber and your kids are falling on the floor crying. That's when you want to go do it because you kind of need that pick me up. And if you go first thing of the day, you're like, whatever.
Right.
These monsters don't know me. But there's something about that humor and exhaustion that works every time. Country Bear Jamboree is a great show. And
that's a personal opinion.
There was an incident in California with one of the bears and a man and someone not making it. And so it closed down before I ever got to see it. And so I always wanted to see it because, believe it or not, I really liked the movie with Christopher Walken. It was a rough movie, but
that movie is really tough.
Really liked it as a kid. Oh my gosh, it's so good. But yeah, the show was great. It's everything I hoped it was going to be.
I could pass on this show every time. And if you love the Country Bear Jamboree, well, bless your heart, go and check out this show. It is something else. I'll tell you that.
Well, shout out to Big Al. It's great. So, you know.
To each their own. To each their own. That one I can skip. I'll be sitting in PhilharMagic over and over, and you can go check out Country Bear Jamboree.
Fair enough. The final aspect of entertainment that I have to do is the Walt Disney World Railroad. I am an absolute sucker for the railroad system. I love the way it smells. I love the experience of it. Frankly, I don't really remember exactly how the Walt Disney World Railroad goes. I'm more attuned to the Disneyland Railroad and the ins and outs of that. But I still love it, and the experience is so great. So whenever I'm there and when the railroad is open, count me in. I will be on that thing, and I will ride it once or twice around.
Yeah, I think it's fun. Again, it's another, if you want to catch a ride to a different area of the park, Magic Kingdom can be a very tiring day if you're not systematic about how you're jumping around the park. I am a very systematic person. Steven knows this. When I go into a Disney park, I like to say, okay, where are we going to start? Are we starting in Tomorrowland? Let's hit everything we want to do in Tomorrowland and then move on to the next land, to really maximize our time and not waste a bunch of time walking back and forth. Now, you do have to kind of be mindful of like which lines are lower at which times of the day. So it doesn't make sense to start with all of the, little kid Fantasyland rides, and then go try to hit all of the big rides at the peak of the day. So just be mindful of that. But if you want to, jump on the railroad and pop around to the other side of the park because you realize, oh, that has a really short wait over in Frontierland, or oh, I want to get back to Tomorrowland real quick, but I'm all the way on the other side of the park. I think it doubles as both a nice break, a nice attraction, and a form of transportation.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It really is a lot of fun. I'm definitely not nearly as systematic as you are with the whole thing. I will just go and go and go and basically, pinball my way through wherever, the wind takes me.
And some people prefer the spontaneity. That is not I.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter though. I mean, you can't. You're not really. There's really no way to do it wrong. You just kind of go and enjoy yourself. My thing though is as long as I'm checking off the things that are on my list, it's pretty much good to go for me. I'm pretty happy.
Exactly. And that's why we're doing this mini series about our ideal day, because everybody who goes to the Magic Kingdom is going to do what they want to do. And you can't hit everything in Magic Kingdom in one day, especially not in these times where the park is so crowded. So
Yeah.
you do have to really prioritize, what do you want to see? What do you want to do? What shows do you want to do? Where do you want to eat? You can't eat everywhere. You can't ride every single ride. So we're just trying to give you, in our experience, the things that we really enjoy, both as adults and some of the things we enjoyed as kids, and trying to highlight some of those things. So on that note, in terms of dining, I already mentioned Aloha Isle, where we get our Dole Whip, over in Adventureland there by the Enchanted Tiki Room. But the sit down experience that I enjoy the most, and I haven't been here in a while. I don't think we've been here together, but I've definitely been with my family a handful of times, is Liberty Tree Tavern. And Liberty Tree Tavern is in Liberty Square, which is, if you head down Main Street, USA, it's sort of off to the left, near the Fantasyland rides, but between that and Adventureland. And Liberty Tree Tavern is sort of this colonial style, all you care to enjoy family style restaurant. If you're not familiar with the term all you care to enjoy, this is like you run out of food, they bring you more food.
Yeah, it's all you can eat basically.
It's
but
literally all you can eat, but that's what Disney likes to call it, and it's
Yeah.
a fun little thing we like to say.
I love the way they say it, honestly.
It's so fun.
I say
We
that a lot
love it.
about all kinds of things.
Yes, you do. You use this term in your daily life, actually.
Most likely out of context, but
Right. But we know what it means.
yeah, I say it a lot when our baby's sucking on her hand. I'm like, she has all she cares to enjoy right
Yes.
now.
All you care to enjoy.
Yeah, no, there's the dining school. I don't think that I don't. So because we've only been there, I've only actually been to Magic Kingdom once, and
Really?
once in a 10th. So yeah, I
Oh,
went
yeah, 'cause
there.
we
I
went there
went.
when
I
you
went with you for a full day, and then the next time we went, we only went for like maybe 45 minutes to catch the end of a show, and then to go on Space Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't go last time, so or the time before that. So yeah, I've only been there one time, and so for dining for me, I don't really have too much to say about it, beyond the fact that you did take the proverbial rug that was Aloha Isle and pulled it from underneath my feet, because that was on my list.
Sorry
But
about
that's
that.
kind of a snack, if anything.
Right, that's sort of a snack. Well, with Liberty Tree Tavern, the thing that I love about that is not necessarily the style of it, the colonial style, but the food is a very traditional, like Thanksgiving dinner, comfort food. You're getting turkey pot roast, mashed potatoes, mac and cheese. Like, think of the most home cooked Southern style food you could possibly have. It's $39 per adult or $21 per child, and that is because of the all you care to enjoy nature. So you're not picking from this traditional menu where you're all ordering something. It's like, because this is family style, they're bringing it to your table. It's all you care to enjoy. So that is a totally different experience than saying, let's go to, Cosmic Rays and
Ugh.
everyone pick your own burger or chicken sandwich or whatever. So keep those options in mind depending on how much you're willing to spend and where you want to eat and what you're in the mood for. But Liberty Tree Tavern is just a fun, like, family sit down meal. And it actually used to be a character dining spot. I think that ended in 2009. So the last time that I did the character dining there was probably '08 or actually maybe even '09, where I went with my grandma, my aunt, my cousins, and then my parents and my brother. And so we did this character dining experience back when they had the characters in their colonial outfits and they'd come around as you were eating. So that used to be a fun little aspect about Liberty Tree Tavern as well. However, I do really like the food. I love sort of like the comfort food style.
Yeah. The only other thing, dining aspect within the gates of Magic Kingdom that I would mention is Casey's Corner. It's located in that sweet spot of it's located right in the sweet spot that I absolutely love to be in, which is just right to the left of Main Street, kind of tucked away in a corner with a perfect view of the castle. You can see like the hub grass area, and you can. I can't beat a chili dog. Just no two ways about it. So Casey's Corner is, if I'm gonna get lunch, that's likely where I'm gonna go, especially for a QSR thing. Um, I'm gonna step a little bit outside the walls of Magic Kingdom though, and say, because to me it's in the spirit of Magic Kingdom. I think I used to not be this way, but I have really grown to cherish the idea of leaving the park briefly. Whether that's to just go take a minute to go breathe and get away from crowds, or just to go experience something different. And the thing with, Magic Kingdom is you are directly on the Seven Seas Lagoon. And so you can just take the monorail loop to at least three incredible resorts that have outstanding dining. And so if I have to have a dinner option, instead of just picking something that, is going to be more experiential and less food based, like for instance, what is it, Cinderella's Royal Table?
Right.
I think, there's better options out there like Steakhouse 71 at the Contemporary,
Mm-hmm.
or, of course, Ohana's in the Polynesian.
Yes.
It doesn't take you much time to get there. If you catch the monorail immediately, you're like right there. Ohana is so famous for their noodles and, their appetizers and the food that they serve there. And then, of course, at Steakhouse 71, you are going to experience an incredible menu that's basically a nod to Walt Disney's tastes, just like including, prime ribs, French onion soup, filet mignons, bone-in pork chops, cocktails, and all that kind of stuff. So you're kind of getting this better experience, I think, outside of Magic Kingdom, but you're still kind of within Magic Kingdom because you can basically see the castle from wherever you are.
Right. And a lot of those restaurants, because you're right on that monorail loop, you can see the castle from the restaurant.
Yeah, and you probably wouldn't want to do this, but you can walk to all of them too. So to me, that would be a better option than eating in the park for dinner. Again, it's just a good way to get out of there really quick. And if you really don't like crowds, check out going to Ohana like later on in the evening, get like a late reservation. or go to Trader Sam's and just kind of hang out in that area, and then you can see the fireworks from across the lagoon. So
Yes.
that's just sort of an option. I know a lot of people probably would want to stay till the end and everything like that, but you're still getting the experience. It's just from a different vantage point, which can be refreshing sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. Did you have any other dining places within Magic Kingdom?
I do not. No.
I just mentioned in passing Cosmic Rays over in Tomorrowland. That is not somewhere that we have to eat at all. It's just a place we usually end up eating because we're over in Tomorrowland, and around lunchtime we always do a QSR or quick service restaurant for lunch, and then we do sit down for dinner. So due to the nature of convenience, we end up eating at Cosmic Rays and getting a burger or a chicken sandwich or something.
Yeah, it's always a mistake. In the spirit actually of resort dining, one thing that could be great is to get up early and head over to the Kona Cafe for breakfast.
Ooh,
Do that before you go into the parks. Grab yourself a thick slice of Tonga toast
the
or
best.
whatever you want to get there. I mean, oh my gosh, their food is so good.
The only thing I'd say about that, and we'll talk more about this in other episodes in the future, but I would actually recommend doing that either on a day where you're going to a park that opens later, like an
Sure.
Epcot day, or maybe on a day where you resort hop or spend it at your resort and just go swimming later, because parks like Magic Kingdom, when they do open earlier in the morning, it can be a really long day, and you're probably not going to go to breakfast for a sit-down experience before rope drop. So you'd either be getting into the park a little bit later, or you'd be missing that rope drop experience in Magic Kingdom. So I would say, yes, it's super convenient to Magic Kingdom. If you're willing to get into the park a little bit later, go check out Kona Cafe. But otherwise, try to do that on either a non-park day or on a park day where you're going into a park a little later.
Yeah, obviously different strokes for people, right? But this is a good option if maybe you have little kids and you are intentionally going to break up the day or make it a little bit shorter or not wear them out too much and really pace yourself. So, it's just an option. But, if you are going in and like, I'm not going to stay the whole day, it's just nice to get yourself breakfast there and then take a boat across the lagoon and pull up to the castle that way and just, sort of leisurely enjoy your day. I know that one of the big, it may be a misconception, and I might be wrong about this because this is how I used to be and sometimes still am. But the whole idea of needing to squeeze every drop out of your experience because you're paying for it and you want to be in the gates, that doesn't always really add up to the ideal day. And so, like once you're in Disney World property, it's just nice to kind of take it a little slow. And Magic Kingdom is really overwhelming and it's huge. And again, especially if you have little kids, it could be a lot. The other thing too is if you are a just couple going alone or a couple with no kids, you can spend all day there and it could be like 4:00 and be like, well, now what do we do? Because maybe you ended up, I don't know, going on all the rides you wanted to do. You saw all the shows you wanted to do. And now you're like, well, it's kind of an awkward time before dinner and I just don't really know, kind of what I want to do next. So that's just an option. And again, there's so many things to do there, so many opportunities for dining in and outside the park. But I just wanted to make sure I threw that in there because it is, again, just like right in the heart of where Magic Kingdom is. Right.
Yeah. If it's on that monorail loop, it's going to be super convenient for you on your Magic Kingdom day if you don't have to wait for a bus to get somewhere else. So, there's so many different places to eat in Magic Kingdom. And like we've said, like Steven just reiterated, Magic Kingdom can be really tiring. It can be really overwhelming because there are so many things to do there. You're not really going to fit it all in one day with the way that the crowds are in Disney these days. So
Yeah.
prioritize your time, maximize your time by doing things that you want to do, which is, like I said, why we're doing these ideal day things to kind of give you just an idea of what you could prioritize if you've never been or if you've not tried something outside of what you typically do. Because we would encourage you to never do the exact same thing you did last time. There's so many good experiences, so many good rides, so much good food. Maybe you have favorites and maybe there's places that you like to go every time, but try to switch it up every once in a while because there's so many wonderful experiences. Making a new memory or trying a new meal at a place that you hear a good recommendation about could be worth it and could actually be something you enjoy better than what you've been doing every other time. So
Yeah.
that's what I have to say about dining.
Right. Let's wrap this whole thing up with things to do, which actually is my favorite category.
Yeah, why
Because
don't you start us off on
if
that?
there's one thing I love to do, it's just to putter around. So yeah, I love this category because it's such a no pressure, easy way to go about your day. There's kind of only one thing I have to do when I'm in Magic Kingdom. And, I don't need to get my picture in front of the purple wall. I don't need to go meet characters, but I absolutely have to spend a good chunk of time on Main Street. Main Street to me is the crux of what makes Magic Kingdom amazing. It is so full of, incredible shops, things to do, things to see, Starbucks. if you're into that.
I love to start my day by going to Starbucks on Main Street.
Which is a crime when Joffrey's is there, but that's fine. But yeah, I love Main Street. I like to go up into the train station area and sit on the benches and overlook the castle. I love to go into the Emporium. I absolutely love looking in Crystal Arts at things that I'm never going to be able to afford, like $40,000 crystal castles.
Right.
I love going to the confectionery and looking at everything that will make me sick to my stomach, including seeing those bigger than your head lollipops. And when I see them, I'm like, do I want one of those? And the answer is always no, because I do not. But I still kind of want one when I see it. So yeah, that's it. Like Main Street it's one of those things where I could realistically go to Magic Kingdom and actually never leave Main Street and feel like I had a good day.
Well, yeah, there's so much to see. And those shops right there on Main Street, they're all connected in that one chunk, right? You can just go from
Yeah,
shop
I was
to
gonna say
shop.
that. Yeah, it's like the Vegas Strip, baby. You just walk right through.
Right. You're just going from one store into the next, into the next, into the next. They all bleed together. So if you're someone who likes to shop, that can be a really dangerous but fun thing for you to do in the middle of the day or the end of the day. And Main Street can get really overwhelming at night if you are someone who does not like crowds.
Yeah.
Once the fireworks show is getting near, it is nearly impossible to move or go anywhere. Or
Yeah.
parades, like the Festival of Fantasy parade is back. It gets super, super crowded to the point where it's hard to even move. So that's sort of something that we usually like to do when we start to notice the crowds are getting big is let's pop into the stores and you can kind of bypass some of the traffic there.
Yeah.
But also take that opportunity to shop while everybody else is outside getting ready for the fireworks.
At night though, you're still kind of bopping and weaving in and out of people, even in stores.
Right.
So I mean, this is kind of more of like a what not to do in Magic Kingdom, but being on Main Street during a fireworks show is like a big no-no for me.
It's going to be our new reality, though, now that we have a little one.
We'll see. I'll be like, I'll take her over to Thunder Mountain and be like, yeah, this is where the fireworks go off, right over there.
Surprise!
You see them from here. It's the best view in the house.
Luckily, she's still so little that maybe it'll be too loud for her for these first couple of trips, but...
Yeah, and we can take her over to Ohana and just let her watch from there. But yeah, the irony about Main Street for me is I hate shopping. I do not like to shop, and I will go into a store and find what I need and just turn around and leave, because it's just it just feels like such a burden to me.
You always say it's like a chore.
It is like a chore. It's like vacuuming. But I even like vacuuming. Shopping's terrible. But I like shopping in Magic Kingdom. I just love it, and Disney World in general. But the Emporium to me, it's like I can look at all the coffee mugs.
Right.
I can look at all the t-shirts, I can look at all the garbage that I do not need and the excess amount of stuff that is there. But the key is I don't buy hardly anything.
Right.
So I'm like a good shopper because I'll just look and be like, oh, this is great. And my mind has these memories of all these fantastic t-shirts with Grumpy on them saying, don't talk to me before I've had my coffee. And I don't need it, but it's fun to look at it. So
Well, I'm the exact opposite. I love to shop. I often partake in retail therapy. Sometimes that can be a problem, but I do try to control myself, and we do have some tips and tricks about budgeting in Disney World. So I'm not going to reveal that secret today on the air about how we try to cut back on how many souvenirs I buy
Yeah.
in one trip.
it's basically like extreme couponing at Disney.
Right.
They usually owe you money by the time you leave,
There it is.
which is just a total
There's
lie.
our secret.
That's a total lie.
No, that's not actually our secret, but
What else do you have to do when you're there? Do you have any other things that, like, when you are there, you have to do this, or you feel like you've just squandered your day?
I think the only other thing that I like to do is I believe it opened in like 2011, 2012. Yeah, 2012 is when they opened the Be Our Guest, Gaston's Tavern, Beast Castle area. And I don't need to necessarily even go into Gaston's Tavern or Be Our Guest, but I just like that area a lot. Beauty and the Beast is a favorite of mine. Belle's my favorite princess. So even just going over to see the Beast Castle, it's using that Disney magic where it seems like it's far away up on a hill, much bigger than it is. And so it's sort of an optical illusion.
It's the forced perspective
Yes.
there at Disney.
Yes, it's the forced perspective that's that Disney magic. They use it in other attractions as well. But I really like going over to that area. I could pass on the turkey legs. No, thank you. I will survive without them.
Same for me. Those are gross.
But I just like going over to that area and just kind of
Yeah.
seeing Gaston's Tavern. I think that area is cool. It makes me feel like I'm in Beauty and the Beast. And so that's another thing that I like to do is just spend some time over there.
Yeah, I like it over there too. I have mixed feelings about it because last time I was there, I was stressed out about checking into my Southwest flight. And, this is 2017 when we were still on 3G like monsters. So, it's great though. And there's so much to do. So it's a lot of fun. I don't have anything else for Magic Kingdom. Do you have anything further that you would like to add or close up with?
No, I don't think so. I think for me, to kind of recap what my ideal day looks like, Tomorrowland's my favorite area, so I want to do a lot of the attractions there. Space Mountain's my priority. Number one, if I could only ride one ride in Magic Kingdom, that's where I would go, is Space Mountain, and so I definitely want to do that one. The People Mover, I miss you, Stitch's Great Escape, but also Buzz Lightyear, and then the Monsters Inc. laugh floors over there too. And then I love Pirates and Haunted Mansion over on the other side of the park. Heading into Adventureland, going to get a Dole Whip, and then Mickey's PhilharMagic. I really don't want to miss that attraction or that show while I'm there because it is so much fun to me. It brings in my childhood. It's a sing-along, which is Steven's worst nightmare, but I love a good sing-along. And then getting some good food, a sit-down family style, all you care to enjoy, some home-cooked food at Liberty Tree Tavern. And then just kind of kicking in on Main Street, going to some shops. I agree. I think I could also pass on the crowd. I love the fireworks show, but it's not always worth it if the park is so crowded. Magic Kingdom for me can even be overwhelming, and I like to be around people. I'm an extrovert. I get my energy from being around others, but when it's too crowded, I get really stressed out and anxious. So
Yeah.
I could even sacrifice not seeing the fireworks every time I go. I like to see it every few trips or when it's a little less crowded in the park that day, but I would rather spend time shopping when it's crowded on Main Street. That's what I would do.
I would rather spend time on a less crowded monorail
There you go.
than
And get out of there a little
than,
early.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, that's gonna pretty much do it for us. This has been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed this series we've been doing. We are going to next time do a series, an episode of our Ideal Day in Disney Springs. But the catch is that's actually going to be on our Patreon member only feed. So if you want to listen to that, you can check us out on Patreon. We're just right there on the Parks Academy. We got a handful of different tiers. All of them are going to get you access to that special episode. So we will link that in our show notes. You can check that out so you can have access to it. We should be releasing it in the next couple of days. The other thing is, if you follow us on Instagram at the Parks Academy on Instagram, we are going to be doing a giveaway, a surprise giveaway this week. And so I'm really excited about that. It's going to be a really cool item from shopdisney.com. We haven't yet received it yet, but once we do, we will do a little reel and have that giveaway ready to go. As always, you can, like I said, find us on the Parks Academy on Instagram. Check out our website at theparksacademypod.com. There you're going to see blog posts, tips, tricks, all of our feeds, links to all of our channels, bios, things like that. I think that's about going to wrap it up. We're going to finalize the series over in California, over in Disney's California Adventure and Disneyland, near and dear to my heart. I cannot wait to do that, those next 2 episodes. And thank you so much for listening as always. We sincerely appreciate your time, and we will catch you next time.